Hello, I'm Taiga, and it's a lesser known fact about Minecraft that the Java version of the game actually has 4 billion times more seeds than the Bedrock version does, which should lead to way less seed variety when you play this version of the game. That is something that should be true on the surface and is true for really weird edge cases, but in general, the Minecraft Bedrock engine actually generates much more interesting and varied worlds because there are a bunch of features only found on this version of the game that might sound hard to believe, but in today's video, I wanted to show you a seed found by Finder's Hood right here. If you type in Minecraft, as we're going to do right now, will generate with a bunch of these interesting Bedrock exclusive features which won't generate in most Minecraft Java worlds, but will generate in a lot of, and indeed a significant number of, Minecraft Bedrock worlds, including this one right here, which I'm going to be showing you in today's Seed Sunday. So here is the map, which we're going to fill out now. And here is my intro about the fact that this is Seed Sunday, the weekly series where I show you seeds for Minecraft that are particularly interesting and worth checking out in some way. Today's seed is definitely that because it's a seed that shows off all of the things that make Bedrock an interesting platform, or at least a large portion of the things you'll find somewhat regularly, including underwater strongholds, including super deep ravines, including far more common than often zombie villages, and a whole host of other features that will make this version of the game seem different, like the water in swamps, for instance, that will show off in today's video after we mention that yes, this is a seed that spawns you on top of a tree, and yes, this is a seed that spawns you in a taiga biome, but the reason that's so interesting is because the taiga biome has two villages directly near spawn. You pretty much can't walk in a direction without finding one of the two villages, and we're going to head towards this one right here, towards the west right now, because this village is very interesting, and let me explain why. Because this village, which I found at these coordinates right here, by the way, top left of the screen as always, does have a blacksmith, and does have the blacksmiths that come along with that, two of them apparently, and also because of course you can see there's two grindstones, so two blacksmiths, but it also has a blacksmith chest, free loot, which can include things up to diamonds. In our case, we get 5 free diamonds just for coming straight to this village. You can see the free loot as an advantage, you can see it as a cheat, you can see it as a way to start your Minecraft game. The game doesn't care, it gives you the chest regardless. But the other thing that makes this village interesting is it shows off some village generation which started in Minecraft Bedrock and is still much more common right here, including these bridges made of wood. As you can see, spruce planks naturally generate right here in these villages as part of the pathway when it goes over water. This is kind of interesting here, but because Minecraft Bedrock villages are much more willing to generate, you'll see how even though there are some exceptions, a lot of these gaps are filled by these planks that otherwise wouldn't in the Java edition. It's really interesting to me at least to see and to watch stuff like this happen. You'll also see how there's sometimes ferns blocking the doorway. You'll see how the villagers generate in much more eclectic ways, and one of the other things about villages that are interesting is that even though we're lucky enough to have 2 regular villagers near spawn, and by that I mean 2 taiga villagers, so we head back towards the spawn, which was at this direction right over here, and if instead we head to the other way, because again, both ways you'll head from spawn, you will find one of these villages eventually. This second village over here is also interesting for the same reasons. I mean, taiga villagers have a great chance of having blacksmiths, but also as you can see, the same thing is going to be true with this village, where it has these nice little spruce plank bridges that help it go across things, even to a point where it doesn't even make sense because the village roads just keep generating even straight into rivers because they know they can. And again, this does happen on Java, but to a lesser extent, and it was a Bedrock exclusive that started here first, so that's super interesting. But you'll see how once you go past these first 2 villages, you'll see how there's about a 20 to 25% chance, over 10 times the chance up on Java, of finding yourself a zombie village, like how the closest village just over here is exactly that. If you like the idea of getting free loot with no human interaction, again, worst part of any life in my opinion, but if you want to get free loot with no human interaction whatsoever, guess what? This village will offer it to you, and also you'll find some zombie villagers if you so want to convert them. Also, you can still find all of the other things found in a normal village, just with a lot more mossy cobblestone on a much more regular basis. Also, you can obviously share the cobwebs up as well. This is a great source of cobwebs because Minecraft Bedrock generates with 10 times more abandoned villages, which means they'll generate with a lot more cobwebs, a lot more mossy stone, and a lot more, the zombie villagers that just kind of chill in there. I'll admit, I do find it a bit weird that these zombie villagers still manage to have pigs, sheep, and horses all locked up in their little areas, because again, these are identical clones of villagers, just with more mossy stone, some cobwebs and stuff, even down to the fact that the blacksmith chest, which, this doesn't make too much sense because the blacksmith wouldn't be making things, but the blacksmith chest still has the same chance of getting diamonds, iron armor, bread, loot, etc, etc, and yeah, you end up with villages where the only living being are actually the animals kept behind somehow, and the bees which inexplicably spawn here regardless. Same with cats actually. Why do they spawn in villages even when the villages are filled with zombies. We don't know for sure, but I find it adorable. Another interesting Bedrock exclusive feature you'll find only on this seed is going to be ravines. Ravines, of course, generate in every version of Minecraft. They actually came to the Java edition first. Getting them onto Bedrock was a huge technical challenge because of the way Bedrock does generate. That's a whole fun story from many years ago we could tell sometime. But this is what your average Minecraft ravines looks like, right? This is nothing special. This is something that's actually rare on Minecraft Bedrock because instead of most ravines looking like this, as indeed this one which is close to spawn does look like, although actually this definitely isn't normal. Look at that, it's water that partially generates above nothing. How strange. But although most ravines in Minecraft Java will look like this one, which is rare for Minecraft Bedrock, most Minecraft Bedrock ravines look a little bit more like this because most Minecraft Bedrock ravines are mega ravines. They go all the way down to the lowest possible layer of Y10 or Y11. That is at diamond layer in case you're curious. In fact, a little bit low, the optimal layer for finding it. And if you're in an extreme hills like we are right here, it's also an emerald layer, meaning that you can find just directly within ravines emeralds as well as in some cases diamonds, as well as in some cases more than just one stack of diamonds or one stack of emeralds, because there's more emeralds, there's more diamonds, and there's more lapis. All three of the rarest ingredients in Minecraft, plus some gold in case you want that too, all found here in one ravine. In fact, every single Minecraft door, all found right down here at the bottom, just for jumping down. Here's coal. Here is, gold in case you're curious. Here is iron. Here is blue. Here is redstone. And here is some emeralds. And of course, back to the diamonds. Boom. Every single Minecraft door, all found for free, right next to each other. That is the power of Minecraft ravines. This is interesting because it means that even though Minecraft Java's terrain generates much higher on average, this is the exact same seed generating much higher, as you can see, because of no limitation in the engine. The ravines generate much lower on, average, which means you get better terrain on Java, but you get better ravines on Bedrock. A really interesting two sides of the same coin story that I'm not really sure how it happened that way or if it's intentional, but it is very much a feature difference. Kind of like how these villagers wear hoods, but only on the Java edition, or kind of like how hay bales look entirely different here. But yeah, the other feature that is relevant to world generation that's different between platforms, because if we talk about exclusives, we'll be here all day again. We have in fact done that. You can check out that video, or in fact those two videos, if you want to see Bedrock and Java feature exclusives, because there are a trillion of them. But let's talk about the features which are relevant to seed searching, because here is what swamps look like on Bedrock. You'll see how swamps are hugely different on Bedrock compared to Java because they are a source of huge mushrooms, and indeed if you break those huge mushrooms, a huge source of small mushrooms. As well as that, the design of swamps is going to be different, and as well as that, the water is going to be hugely different too. The water is much murkier, which is a very immersive and interesting experience that maybe you enjoy, maybe you don't, because objectively speaking, I mean, in terms of gameplay, it is going to be worse than the Java, where water instead looks something a little bit more like this. As you can see, the water in swamps on Java edition is a slightly different color, but it's not as, like soul-destroyingly murky, which is maybe something you appreciate, maybe it's not. Also, you'll see how these, swamp biomes right here have a much, different composition, being pretty much exclusively just the trees. As you can see, it's just trees and trees and trees and trees and trees and trees and trees, and when you're lucky, you find yourself some of these nice little blue orchids, which, who doesn't love a good blue orchid? Fun fact, started as a Bedrock exclusive feature. But like, you can see how this is what the Java version looks like, with the interesting kind of exclusive being like, oh yeah, you find witches' huts sometimes, but witches' huts on Java are much more uniform with how they generate. Bedrock is much more willing to break the rules or bend the rules a little bit as to how pretty much any structure should generate, the witches' hut including. So on this particular seed, you can see a great example of like, what's this? The witches' hut's generating in a river that's not even part of the swamp biome? Sure. It's kind of funny because it reminds me of like how beavers block up, rivers, they dam them up. Beavers make dams and witches make huts. Both of them block up the rivers. And yeah, there's a bunch of interesting exclusives such as the black cat, such as the, the cauldron, which fills with a natural potion you can drink if you want to, but that's kind of getting into exclusives, and if we talk about exclusives, we'll be here all day. So instead, let's talk about the most interesting, kind of difference in the world generation. Also, look, here's the cat, here's the witch. Don't ask me how they got so far apart. Again, they're not really meant to be able to leave the witch's hut, but when it generates so close to land, that can kind of happen. What is that I can see in the distance, by the way? I genuinely can't tell. Is it like an island? Is it a random... Wait, okay, on the spot, on the fly, I've just found something, again, proves that exact same point about how Bedrock is much more willing to play with the rules when it comes to what generates where. This is meant to be an underwater ruins, but it's just generated above the water as a random little, you know, almost temple-looking thing, because technically speaking, this is on the bottom of the ocean bed. So yeah, as you can see, you can get yourself access to free chests, as well as some granite, as well as all the other things that generate right here. And yeah, the fact that that's just available on the surface, with a treasure map even, it's something I really love about Bedrock. The number of times you'll find surface things like this, and the fact that they really shouldn't be there is something I love personally. Not as much as I love the next kind of exclusive right here, because in Minecraft Bedrock, you know, obviously strongholds generate below villages most of the time, if they can. This is something we all kind of know. Strongholds generate in a more interesting way on Bedrock, I would argue, a more predictable way, a way that kind of makes sense because it ties together two of the game's features in a way that means you can actually search for strongholds without spending hours below the ground sometimes when you get unreliable IF Ender, you know, like kind of froze. But interesting enough, you can see how this village, as well as having a lot of those wooden, you know, things like I mentioned earlier, this village actually has a stronghold below it, even though it's a coastal village. This means that part of the stronghold, including the most important part of the end portal room, is generating below the ground. This is fascinating to see. As you can see, when our ward vision kicks in, you can see how like most of this stronghold is just visible and easily accessible from the water. You can even like walk your way straight in here if you want to, or swim your way straight in if you really want to do it that way, because the vast majority of this stronghold is connected just like this. I find this so interesting to be able to observe the structure of a stronghold in survival, no commands, nothing like that needed, to find the ender pearls, which by the way will help you on your run just for free in survival, is incredibly amazing in my opinion. And that's why, even though this end portal has just the average number of you know, IF Enders filled in, which is 1, I mean that's only 11 you have to do for yourself, or 10 after the ender pearl in there. Even though this is kind of thing by itself, it's so interesting to see how this stronghold is entirely surrounded by water. Look at this right here. You can look out and you can see water, and this isn't even the most unique thing to this seed. Sure, this is a great example of it. This is an example of an entire stronghold generating this way, which is really cool. But as you saw in my destroying an entire stronghold video, my stronghold in my Let's Play world, just a random world, you know, the one I happen to be playing and have played for 8 years, when it switched over to Bedrock, there was a stronghold not too far away that generated partially underwater. Minecraft strongholds, Minecraft structures don't care as much about the surroundings they're in, which leads to much more interesting scenarios of stuff like this, where a stronghold technically generated underground normally, but the vast majority of it generated underneath a village and is accessible as such. This is so cool. Also, another underwater ruin, generating actually underwater this time. This is so interesting, and it kind of goes without saying, right, that this is just a hugely interesting, unique thing that you can dig into at any point if you really want to, including below this staircase where there's a random skeleton, and yeah, you can check out all the wonderful goodies. And you can even leave the stronghold in random bits where there's like gaps between the, you know, the bits, just by leaving it just like this. But you might say, well, this is kind of cool, right? Yeah, this is as good as it gets. And although that would be a great interpretation to say this is in fact as good as it gets, I mean, you can explore an entire stronghold. It's great, it's massive, it has golden apples in the chests, and so much more in every direction. Again, it's a huge, ridiculously sized stronghold in my opinion, that you could spend an entire day exploring if you want to, and indeed I recommend you do so if you've got this you know, this seed, which you do because it's Seed Sunday and that's the whole point of this video. But also, let me show you something else, because if we dig up to the surface from this, you'll see how the village actually, that it generated underneath is actually a zombie/abandoned village. That's right, an abandoned village with all of the woody things, with all of the cobwebs and mossy cobblestone, etc. Generated in Minecraft, which is kind of fun by itself. It's a fun, unique thing. Generated with a stronghold below it, which is already kind of cool, and that stronghold happened to generate in the water for the most part. This is an example of everything going crazy in Minecraft all at the same time, including, by the way, I believe this room is so big it has to be the, but yep, it is in fact, you know, this room right here, which means, guess what, there are 3 enchantments found below, you know, just found randomly in the water too, below the abandoned village, which also has all of the other unique features. This is just like all of Minecraft's unique, interesting, you know, exclusives all combining into one place, and I love that as a thing for you to be able to check out all in one seed, which has been the purpose of today's video. Obviously, Minecraft Bedrock has a lot of downsides. I obviously focus mostly on the upsides in this channel. The terrain generating, much lower, is one I'd like to see fixed. The 32-bit seed generator, which is a, yeah, again, it's mostly a downside, except it leads to interesting things. You know, that is something that eventually will actually be improved. I have heard word from the dev team that as soon as they stop supporting 32-bit devices, because right now Minecraft Bedrock runs on pretty much everything, including a bunch of 32-bit mobile and tablet devices. Once they stop being supported at some point in the future, you know, months or years from now, then there actually will be a lot of improvements made to the way the world generates, including how jungles generate, including how the world generates as a whole, including how... By the way, look, here's another ravine. This one's spread across 2 different areas. But yeah, basically, Minecraft Bedrock has a lot of, you know, downsides, I'll admit, and I will always freely say that, but also it has a billion upsides, and that's what brings me back to, you know, to this game. That's what makes me, you know, keep on checking out seeds every single week on this channel, and that is what brings me to the end of today's Seed Sunday, which I hope you did all enjoy. You can like it if you did like it, you can share if you liked it, and you can subscribe if you're around here if you want to see seeds like this one every single day on your homepage. Thank you very much for watching. Here is a village with 3 blacksmiths just at the end, just a random little bonus. Wasn't even a part of the video, but like, look, it's got 1 blacksmith, 2 blacksmith, 3 blacksmiths. They really like their free loot in this village, and you know what? You are entirely free to come in here, just kind of sneakily break a few windows and steal their stuff if you want to. In fact, you don't have to break windows. I just like being a bit of a vandal. So much bread available for you, including an iron boot sandwich, because can't make the assistant hate me, right? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.